Hi there, my name's Sebastian and I am in the heart of the Edinburgh Festival. It's around about this time of year where we can see music, theatre and most importantly, comedy. I'll be talking to Rhys James about his latest solo stand-up comedy show and how he plans to take on Edinburgh. I hope you got your socks on because we're about to blow them off. Go! Hi Rhys, it's brilliant to have you here. Now, you have such a unique comedy style. What can audiences expect from your show at this year's Edinburgh Festival?
I think what they'll expect is like a young guy talking about pre-drinking and all that shit, like most young guys are. Well, actually not most, but some. The bad name of the young comedian. I think they'll expect, skinny jeans, haircut, whatever, and what comes with that. I think they'd be surprised by what it is. Quite a lot about like literature and love and stuff like that, so hopefully they'd be surprised. But yeah, I do put on the poster about what it is, talk about language and all that. It's like there's a couple of poems and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully they didn't come expecting that, but otherwise they just come expecting a laugh, ideally.
You are originally from down south, so how does the Scottish audiences compare to the English comedy circuit?
I love Scottish audiences, they're brilliant. Glasgow stands one of the best comedy clubs around, it's my favourite thing, and I was really first time I did it, I was really nervous that they'd be like, oh, who's this prick? Can I swear?
Yeah.
Who's this cunt? And I thought they'd be like, first I thought Glasgow crowd would be like, who's this little posh bellend? And they were just the most supportive, nicest, and if they like it, they fucking tell you. So I love them, it's great.
How do you find performing every day at the festival compared to like gigging in a comedy club?
I prefer it a lot. Especially this year, the first time I've done a solo show, a bit of a revelation for me. I much prefer it to doing sets. Everything gets a lot more time to breathe, you can try a lot more ambitious stuff than in a comedy club. I do like doing the sets as well, and it makes you sort of really tight in the sets, you have to be really on it. But I prefer gigging up here every night doing a show, it's more fun.
In this year's show, you do incorporate some poems, spoken words, everything. Would you ever consider rapping?
I don't think I could. There's people on like YouTube and stuff like, so Bo Burnham started and he did sort of like raps and stuff like that. And a guy called George Watsky got really big on YouTube doing raps. He's like Pale Kid raps fast and all that sort of stuff. And I don't want to be another, not that they're not brilliant, they are. But a lot of comic comedians on the circuit have done the kind of like, white guy rapping, isn't that weird? I don't want to do that, and I know it's not one of my strengths. So I'm quite happy doing the spoken words without a beat underneath it, and just going, I'm not trying to be something I'm not.
Now you started comedy when you were really young. What really motivated you to get on stage?
Well, I always wanted to be a comedian. From when I was a proper kid, I wanted to be a comic, and at the time, you couldn't do that. The only comedians who existed on TV, that's all I knew were like Jack D and Joe Brand. I was like, you've got to be 40 years old, you've got to be 40 plus to be a comedian. And then, actually, Jack Whitehall got famous, and I sort of Googled him, and I was like, well, who's this guy? And he was a comedian, he did all the competitions, and he was 19 at the time when he was famous, and I was like, fucking hell, you can do it when you're young. And at this moment I was 17, and I'd applied to do a gig at this place, and they said, we don't do comedy here anymore. And pretty much the day after I discovered Jack Whitehall and went, you can do it when you're young, they sent me an email saying, we're doing a one-off night, do you want to do it? And I was like, fucking yeah. So I did it, and once you start, you can't stop, so.
You have written jokes for some of the biggest names such as Chris Ramsey, Carl Donnelly and Ian Stirling. How do you feel about comedians who don't write their own material?
Well, the thing about writing material for them has been not for their stand-up, it's been for panel shows and stuff like that. So I would definitely hire writers as well. I write it with them. So if I was going on one of those shows, you get like 2 days, you get like no time at all, and there's so much to talk about. So you just need, it's just a different angle. It's not so much as just them going, I'm lazy, I can't be arsed. I don't think many comedians do have writers just for stand-up. And the ones that do are people like Joe Pasquale. It's just no one thinks about Joe Pasquale as their favourite comedian. So I think it's pretty much fine. I think it's okay to have writers. And if it wasn't, then I would be a lot poorer.
As someone who is becoming successful in the comedy industry, how do you find controversial comedians and jokes?
I like a controversial joke, good controversial joke every now and then. As long as it's a joke you could justify before you told it. Because I get really sick of certain comedians who I won't name who do this on Twitter a lot, and then wait for the outrage to pour in and then backtrack to justify it. And it's just a bit like, you didn't think that when you just thought it was funny. But then again, if it's funny, it's fine.
When writing your own material, where do you draw inspiration from?
It's increasingly becoming my own life and own crisis of confidence and self-analysis, and I like to try, at the moment, I think it's quite important. I like to get as personal as possible and just try and reveal as much as I can. It's all the stuff I've written most recently. Before that, it was kind of just things that I liked, like poetry and stuff like that. And now I'm trying to just, with bits, with jokes it's different, it's just anything. But with my routines, I like to try and just be like honest, try and be honest. So anything that I think is honest and meaningful but funny, I will try and hopefully talk about.
What aspects of stand-up comedy do you particularly enjoy?
The shows, doing the shows, everything around it I hate. So I hate travelling, I hate the waiting around, I get very anxious, I get very nervous. But once you're on stage and doing it, I fucking love it so much. Unless it's going badly, then I hate that as well. But otherwise, the show, I really enjoy. Also, the social side of it, get on with a lot of comedians really well. There's loads of friends I never would have made otherwise. And I like, especially Edinburgh, you see all the people you haven't seen for a year, and you hang out and get pissed, and it's really nice. I like that.
I leave her in the club, I'll never ever walk her home. The other fucking foundation, I'm the cornerstone. I'm feeling famous, I'm sorta known. And if your son doesn't, I bet your daughter knows. Check out my vision.